Average at Best Cornhole here, and I'm pretty excited about this one. I got some ACO bags for you from Bags Cornhole. Now, this company came on my radar because it might have been a month ago or so, a little bit longer. I saw some guy holding up some ACO bags at Titan Cornhole's huge summer cornhole event. I mean, that's an ACL company hosting an event, and someone was holding up ACO bags. So started digging into it, doing a little bit of research, and I saw Basement Bags. They posted this long post, bragging about all the wins that their team was getting in the ACO this season. I was like, well, I got to try their bag. So I picked up the Ripper, which is the one I seen held up on that podium, and then I got the Tide here also. And basically, I wanted to see if maybe these bags would finally get me on a podium. So we do have some very common material combinations here. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying you're going to be very used to it. Ripper, it has herringbone. Everybody knows herringbone. The fast side, this is that super popular 8.5 speed fast side we're all used to. Tide, on the other hand, it is a hybrid carpet. This is the one that you're going to find on Ultra Cornhole Viper R, CBC Ronin. And then the fast side, same material as the Ripper, just the other side of it, the smoother side. And this fast side, this is the one that you're going to find on the Viper Pro Sniper. Basement Bags lists the speeds for the Ripper at a 5.8, the Tide a 6.9. Very common call outs for these materials. I don't think this hybrid material stays quite a 6. It does slow down a little bit than that from brand new, but it is definitely faster than the herringbone, and there's a lot of companies that consider that a 6, so I'm not going to hate on their speed call out. Both series, they do have the same template, so this is that medium to small template that we're starting to see on a lot of different cornhole bags. Like, I'm starting to feel like this is the template that everybody's going to. And as far as fullness, I mean, they're about a medium fullness. I talk about sometimes like the sweet spot of a bag. Both of these series are right in that sweet spot. They do weigh about the same. There's not much of a difference. And the good thing about having a bag that's in that sweet spot is that you do gain the confidence when you go to throw the bag because it feels good in your hand. Both series also have the same fill in them. And like I said, with the weight, that's why you get about the same fullness for each series. It is a mixed fill, but it is primarily flat fill. You can fill a ton of flats in there, but there's also some filler in there. I don't know if it's filler beads, or they sometimes call them oblongs or half rounds, but you can feel those in the bag when you're touching and moving the pellets around. So that filler bead, it does two things. For one, it makes the pellets not want to settle when you're throwing. Two, that's what adds that girth to the bag and gives them the medium fullness. Unfortunately, I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but it did give these bags a little bit of bounce. I do want to touch on Bagmanship because, again, here we have a smaller company, probably, a couple people operation. Most of the work here is done by hand, and it is excellent. I found nothing wrong with them. I inspected them quite a bit. We've been throwing them a lot, especially at camp in the gravel. I don't see any seams opening up too much. I believe he does put liners on both of these series, so very impressed with the bagmanship, but I usually am impressed with the bagmanship when I know that someone is sitting down and actually taking the time and caring about the work that they're making and putting out. Time for me to discuss the slide up, and if you remember, I feel like this is the most important part of the review because, I'm going to explain why these bags are different from other bags with the same or similar materials. And like I said, these are both very common materials, so there's got to be something about these bags that stands out a little bit more, and that's what I try to tell you in the slide up. Starting off with the highlight and the low light, and I'm going to go right to the Ripper. Now, I feel like most of the videos I've been making recently with herringbone, I'm like, man, this is like got to be one of the most forgiving herringbone bags you're ever going to play. That is not the case with these Rippers, thank goodness. These bags are active. I don't know how he did it. It's got to be the template and whatever amount of those filler beads that he put in there, because the bag was active. I was able to cut it with ease. Like I said, it did have some bounce, so I know people are going to be able to roll these with ease. Unfortunately, though, when you do have that activeness, if you're not looking for that, these bags are going to kick a little bit on you. So I just want to make you aware of that. Since they are active, you have to be really careful with your throw. The Tide, it's the hand feel with the Tide. I mean, hybrid materials, we know this fast side is soft. And like I said, the bag's right in that sweet spot. And when you have a great hand feel like this, you get the confidence to throw straighter, to throw better. And the Tide definitely gives you that. So if you are in the market for a hybrid material bag that, just feels good in your hand, this one would be it. Unfortunately, the only downfall of this bag, and what I noticed, was that there's just not enough flop to accidentally droop in and catch the hole as much as you like it would. Like me, I talk about it all the time. If I'm off my shot a little bit, which I am, sometimes I really like the bag to make up for that and snag the hole. And I just didn't see that with the Tide. And I will touch on forgiveness, even though we already know how this is kind of going to go. Hybrid material is going to be a little bit more forgiving than herringbone. We know that herringbone isn't a super forgiving material. It does have that primarily fast fill in it, though. So there is some forgiveness there, but it does have that bounce to it, and it would tend to kick sometimes if you're not careful. The Tide, like I said, hybrid material is going to be a little bit more forgiving. Leads me to the whole bodiness, and I think both bags are hole friendly. Probably because of that fill, whatever that filler is in there, whether it's a semi-round or oblong or whatever I was feeling, the pellets don't want to settle. So if you do get this close enough to the hole, and if the ripper is going fast enough, the petals aren't going to settle and they are going to come down and sink in the hole. Herringbone, it does tend to hang up on the hole. We all know that. That shouldn't be a surprise. You're not going to have that issue with the Tide because of the hybrid material. The chances of it catching that speed, catching a hole and going in is a little bit better than the ripper. I have absolutely nothing negative to say about collectability because I really think both of these series shined when it came to collectability. But we know that because they have all that flat fill and they have that medium fullness. And that combination right there that's in both of these series is going to be super good for collecting. And I was having a blast throwing these bags and purposely laying them up short. Like I wasn't trying to throw super hard because I kind of wanted to leave them, right in front of the hole or even some kinds dangling a little bit, knowing that it would be no issue at all for me to run the next bag up and collect and put both of them in the hole. And I did find also, if I was off to the side a little bit but still in front of the hole, both of these bags are active enough, obviously, to ripper a little bit more, that you could do a nice cut collect, even if you're just like nipping the corner and like spinning the bag over to get it back in your lane. It was definitely fully possible with both of these series. My thoughts on playability, it's not going to be anything earth-shattering today, and I feel bad saying this sometimes, but both of these series were super versatile. Like, you could do whatever you wanted with them. And I think that was because of, that template size and the fullness of them. If you want to play a dirty style game, we know herringbone definitely can be used to play a dirty style game. Hybrid material, it is a little bit harder to lay a block up, but it is possible. You can cut these bags, flop these bags, roll these bags. It's going to be a little bit easier with the ripper. I mean, the ripper would be more of the dirty style game out of these two, as the Tide here would be more of the hole runner. But you can also run holes with the ripper if you wanted to because of that flat fill. Like, yes, it does have a little bit of kick because it's herringbone, but that fill that he did, it definitely tamed down the kick. You just have to understand that bounce a little bit more. And like I said, just don't land too close to the hole, and then you really don't need to worry about that. But both series, super versatile, dirty style game or an offensive game, however you want to handle it. And I'm starting to think that these would be great bags for going to a switch or a blind draw because they are versatile. And if you do get a partner that's not so experienced or that isn't experienced with these materials, just tell them to run holes with them because they're going to be able to. and then you're going to be able to do all your fancy shots with the bags that you want. You can find Basement Bags Cornhole at www.basementbagcornhole.com. There's no S there for some reason. There is a Facebook page. It's just at Basement Bags Cornhole. Cost is great. $80 for a set of 4. That's very common for the ACO price range. If you do want to upgrade to a custom, a full custom, it's going to be $100 for a set. So I know I was talking about the bounce in these bags, probably a little bit more. I seen that happen. I don't want you to think negative of the bags because of that bounce, because it isn't a negative, because that bounce means that they're going to be active, and especially roll bag players are going to be able to roll these bags. You get a little bit of that lift, and so if you throw a cut, or you can't really throw like a true roll, but you can put a lot of tilt on it with that bounce. You know, if you come up on the tilt and land right in front of your opponent's bag, it will bounce and that corner will lift up and the bag will kind of like, you know, just glide over the side of the bag a little bit on its way to the hole. So you can utilize that bounce to your advantage. Both series, super versatile. I really think that you can do anything with these bags. I was running holes with them primarily and playing the offensive game, you know, beating my opponent or bunching them up a little bit and, you know, cleaning it up at the end. But I really think that both of these could be played, you know, as a dirty style game. Now I just want to end this with, you're going to be average at something. Be average at cornhole.